And coming up next, I'm really interested to see what this young man has to say because I met him a while back while he was working in his chosen profession. He is an editorial, commercial, music, and portrait photographer in San Antonio, Texas. Josh Huskin grew up in West Texas with a whole bunch of siblings and later crafted his love of creative and conceptual photography, leading to his being published nationally as well as having photos on 50-plus covers of magazines. He is bearded, you will notice, and a proud member of the Alamo Beard Club, and likes to kick back with a cold Texas beer while watching his favorite team, which happens to be the San Antonio Spurs, so he is sacrificing again tonight. But he does play basketball every week, and it says right here, he aspires to one day be able to dunk like everyone else on a regulation 10-foot rim, unlike the 8-foot rim he plays on now. Please welcome Josh Huskin.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to get right into this. There we go. So what I'm going to show today is just a handful of images. The first images that I've captured here, I got in camera with little to no Photoshop. And then later I'm going to show some images that I shot where I needed Photoshop to create these scenes. I feel like sometimes people think Photoshop is this bad word of, you see it all this like fashion where they take people and beer gut goes in and all that, which I probably need help with. But so these first images here were all shot in camera. So let's see. So right here, this is Robert Fleming on the right. He's the chef at Magnolia Pancake House. Sometimes you don't know what people will do in a photograph until you ask them. So I've just learned just to ask people and just say, hey, I want to put pancakes on your head and let the syrup pour down. Afterwards, he told me, and I quote, "That was the coolest shit I've done in a long time." Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that or not, but all right, so this first picture here, this is straight out of camera. This is no Photoshop yet. This is for the Gonzo and SA show. It's a local sports talk radio show. Happens to be my favorite one. They talk about the Spurs a lot and other stuff. So this shot is straight out of camera. This was on the Mission Reach of the San Antonio River down there. So this first correction I did here, I changed the water to blue because the water isn't very blue down there. And I just did some basic color corrections to kind of give it the whole idea of added some contrast, fixed a little bit of color, did a little retouching, make these guys already look great, obviously. The next thing I did is I took out the skyline. I really wanted this surreal image of them dressed as fancy sailors on this really old, crappy boat. And we don't really have the budget or time to go down to the ocean and shoot these things, so we have to kind of create things. So this is the time that I used Photoshop to create a scene that I saw in my head. And then the birds I added in, and that was my favorite part of the picture, so I had its own slide just for the birds. Those were shot throughout the whole time, just random birds, and I just kind of copied each one and threw them into this shot as they were just hanging out on the San Antonio River with these fine gentlemen here. All right, so this next picture is a bridal photo that I shot for my friend Krista. Another time that I have ideas for photos, I'll just kind of, like I said, just ask people. So they have, in their house there, they have these really awesome old wood paneling walls. So I wanted to do this like kind of old-timey photo of her with her cat. The only thing I could think to make it better was to add 2 cats and a dog with a bow tie. So on this one I had to use Photoshop because if you've ever been around cats, they don't care what you say. So we had to hold down the cats. I think the one on the top, there's actually someone's hand on top of the cat holding it down. It was rough. And then the next thing I did is, I don't know if it's changed already, but I just changed the colors, kind of affected the picture by adding some contrast in colors and retouching. But the best behaved animal in this picture was the dog, Mr. Brutus with his bow tie and giant underbite. So this next picture is Girl in a Coma. This was shot for the San Antonio Current a few years ago. I was on the cover, and I worked with Chuck Kerr on this when he was here. And so we always had these ideas, and Chuck would send me these really crazy like sketch drawings of ideas for covers, and we went with this like Scooby-Doo picture here. I had to use Photoshop in this one to make the flashlights and everything show up. to balance the light in there with my flash and the flashlights, there was too much of a difference between the flash and with them being too powerful in the flashlights to really get it to look how I wanted it to look. So I had to use Photoshop in this context to create the same scene in my head. And then the next thing I did is I kind of put a blue tone over the whole image to give it that nighttime kind of creepy feel, like we were in a haunted house, which we were, the late great Nightmare on Grayson. And the next one you might recognize this guy. I had to put this one in there. So this is Mr. Randy Beamer. So here we had him. So he probably doesn't know this, but when he called me back, when I was telling him to pitch this idea, I was at kickball at one of those like super social leagues where they have the kegs rolling by. So I was a little drunk pitching him this idea, and I told him, and he went all for it. So he showed up there for about 15 minutes. We shot this picture. That's actually Sonny Boy, is my wife's family dog, and he actually just passed away yesterday. Yeah. So he's watching the Spurs somewhere else right now. So what I did here in Photoshop is I added the news onto the TV. So I found this TV at actually I think my wife found it for me at a Goodwill for $10, and I took a screenshot off of YouTube of the news and added some grain and make it look like those really fancy antennas there were doing the job. And then the next thing that happened, I just did some color grading to fix the image. I took out a car in the background, some puddles in the ground. I mean, just minimal things. I'm not changing someone's appearance. I'm just using Photoshop to kind of create the scene in my head that I see without having to find it. I didn't want to go ask that guy to move his car, So, all right, this next one is my buddy John Harder. His family owns Harder Music Studios. It's one of the best recording studios in town. A little plug there. We shot all these photos for their website. And what we did is we just had something always going wrong in the photo. So in this photo, he's catching this mic stand, and this is the dog. And this is how we got the dog to do what we wanted, with about 10 to 15-ish treats. So we finally got the right image of the dog with his paw up, just looking nice and cute. Mr. Otto is his name. So then what I did there is I took those two images and just combined them together there to make the final shot. Working with animals, it's probably impossible to get this the first try, because if the dog looked good, then John would look bad, and it would just take hours when you could shoot it in 20 minutes. So that's kind of how I got them to cooperate there, and that's just how I used different techniques to get my stuff right. So thank you.
Thank you. That's great.
Thank you.
Okay. First of all, okay, thanks. Do you ever do selfies? Have you ever done that?
I have no idea what that is.
All right. Oh, God, we'll delete that one. Okay, first of all, have you ever harmed or killed any animals in the production of the picture?
No, I have not.
Right.
Yeah.
There's some PETA people right outside. So you come up with the concepts now? You said you worked with Scott before, but you work a lot in the community. You still see you see your stuff all over. Do you come up with it? Like when you were drunk at that soccer game or whatever, volleyball, kickball.
A lot of times I come up with ideas just randomly around town. I'm driving, I have just a little doc on my phone that I just type stuff into. I'll get inspired by different things that I see, and I just have this like running list of weird ideas, and and then when I get an assignment from a magazine, I go through the list and see which one that I can get away with at the moment. So.
Do you just like test people sometimes? Like
a little bit, yeah.
How about if there's a dog that you're holding, and then like you're holding this TV and stuff like that?
Yeah.
And see if they're dumb enough to go for it.
Yeah.
And how about now? What would you tell people out here? We have a lot of aspiring artists and photographers and things like that about how to get into the business, and then also at the stage where you are doing some national stuff, doing a lot of stuff. Do you look ahead to whether you would have to make a decision whether you want to move from San Antonio to do more, or would you stay here?
I like San Antonio. I don't plan on leaving anytime soon. Well, Spurs.
Good, because they will hate you if you say
yes. Yeah. No, I like San Antonio. I think for people that are trying to get out there, if they just work hard and keep doing what they like, and keep doing things that they really love, stuff will come around to you. As long as you just work hard and do what you like.
And where can we see some of your stuff? You're still you're working for the Current?
I freelance, so I work for all over. I shoot for the Current pretty often when they call me, and it's always fun. But
and now Photoshop, the last quick thing, because you almost talked about it like you said at the beginning, like some people see it as a dirty word. Oh
right.
my God, you Photoshop. But
yeah, because there's always like Photoshop disaster blogs where there's like 3 legs and 11 fingers and whatnot.
sorry.
That's getting photoshopped.
That's enough. How do I turn off? I just got this one. How do I turn off that annoying little light there that goes
I'm not
in
sure.
your
That's an
face?
icon. That's like I don't know.
You don't like Nikons?
I'm a Canon person, but sorry.
And the Spurs tonight, do you want, as a Spurs fan, to be updated throughout the evening as they play or not?
I would say no, but I've already looked at my phone like 6 times. So.
I've noticed that.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a beer break, but say hello
Thank
to
you.
Josh Huskin and the other guys.